Hey y'all, today on the farm we're going to be using this KBH seed tender to plant a winter cover crop. If you roll back in my videos to about 18 months ago, you'll see some videos of an Unverferth seed tender. Today we're going to be comparing it with the KBH. Right off the bat, the KBH is made heavier duty. This is a much heavier built implement. Now I like the Unverferth a lot. I like it a lot. But we're going to find out if the KBH works just as good as that Unverferth. One thing I noticed right off the bat, when you crank up the motor and pick up the auger out of the saddle up here, swing it out to where you want to load your seed at, I noticed that the KBH doesn't have locking positions. The Unverferth has a series of holes drilled here, a little lever that pops up and you can swing it around where you want it and you can lock it in place. You don't have to lock it in place, but you can. And the reason you would do that is because the wind can blow this big heavy auger around, move it around, and so you may want it to kind of hold its position. You may be parked on a little bit of a slope and it may want to swing back over. So if you can swing it out and lock it, it'll stay there instead of swinging around depending on how you're parked, where you got a slope, where you got a wind. This machine doesn't have a locking position. One thing this KBH has that the Unverferth does not is a wireless on-off switch. So I can put the conveyor on and off wirelessly, which you could potentially lose this fop. That is one hazard, but the Unverferth has a large wire that comes down here and then it comes off here and you got this long cord and you got an on-off button. But from that remote control that is corded, you can let your auger up and down and cut it off and on. With the KBH, you gotta go to the back of the machine by the motor to let the auger up and down, and then you keep this cordless unit on your wrist to cut it on and off. The Unverferth model has large wheels you turn right here to open and close the gates, but the KBH model has these levers. You can loosen this off, and you can move your lever up and down and tighten it back down. A little bit different system. I say I'm planting a cover crop, but I'm actually planting wheat for harvest, hopefully. We got behind on scheduling. My soil samples were a little late, and that's probably my fault. I should have told my agronomist that I wanted them done earlier so we could get the lime out, but he was a little late on the samples. And then when it got I asked him, I said, hey man, I'm gonna plant that wheat to harvest. We need to get it in the ground quick. Let me know when you get the lime report back. And the lab then took longer to get the lime report back than we thought it would, so that pushed back a little longer. I ordered my lime within an hour of him telling me what the pH needed to be, and then we had to wait another 10 days to 14 days before the people actually delivered the lime. So that put me planting wheat now, which is really borderline too late for our area, but we're in kind of a good position. I can plant it and I can kill it and put a cover crop in it if it looks like it's gonna produce too late for harvest. So if it's looking good, when we get closer to fruition, we can say, hey, leave it, we'll harvest it, or we can say, hey, it's too far behind, let's kill it and let's plant soybeans or something else in it. What I've done ahead though of putting this wheat seed in the ground is I have deeply subsoiled this field. We ran subsoiler just over 18 inches deep over the whole field, and then I field cultivated it, get nice and smooth as silk, or as smooth as we can get it. And now we're drilling the wheat about 1 inch deep. I'm using a Great Plains solid stand grain drill to put this wheat in the ground. It's a lift type drill, and I've got it on the lift of the 6115M John Deere. This is a small tractor, and that is a very small light grain drill, and that is by design. This ground has been subsoiled deeply, and so it's super duper soft. I do not want to come out here with a giant tractor and giant equipment and pack down some tracks into it. Trying to keep it as light as possible out here with a small tractor, floating across this soft ground, not rutted up, because hopefully, or maybe, if it works out, I will plant a crop into this wheat later this year, and I will do it without tilling. I will come in here and either plant no-till into the wheat, being that I've already softened this soil up, or we will strip till into the wheat. Either way, I don't want to pack the ground down any more than I have to, so I don't want to roll across it with a giant tractor. I'm out here on a small tractor with a small drill, trying to get this wheat in the ground with doing just the smallest amount of compaction as possible. One major difference between the KBH and the Unverferth is the size of these axles and wheels. These wheels are a lot heavier duty. There's a lot more studs, a lot bigger axle, a lot bigger hub on the KBH than it is on the Unverferth. That means this is heavier duty. This will be stronger, less chance of this breaking. The Unverferth is triple axled, but they are smaller, narrower wheels. And so anytime you have multiple axles in one location, turning becomes an issue, because a slight turn, you know, on your automobile you got some wheels in the back and then wheels way up in the front that pivot. But these wheels, neither one of these axles are going to pivot, and so if you go to turn, especially with a triple axle, you're putting an extreme amount of pressure. It's torquing these wheels, and sometimes you'll see the center of the wheel get torn out, be ripped out, because it's just, it can't pivot if it has a lot of weight on it. And so a triple axle trailer is always just a recipe for disaster. I mean, they make them, but it's just a good chance if you turn sharp with triple axle trailer, those tires have to slide. The back one's got to slide the front one way, and the front one's got to slide the other way, while the middle one kind of pivots on the pavement. So it just puts a lot of tension on it. Two axle system is better. It's better, but going to two axles while carrying all that weight means they had to put heavier axles, bigger wheels, everything heavier duty to accommodate that. Part of that also, with these bigger wheels, they had to put these huge fenders on here, and that's great if you're doing peanut seed and you got some powder up here, or knocklet somewhere you got to put stuff. However, it puts me further away from the action up here, so a little bit more of a reach, but it's not bad. It's still manageable in here, but just a lot bigger, a lot heavier duty stuff here on the KBH. have heard me say in previous videos that don't typically listen to the radio when you're in the tractor, especially if you've got a peanut picker that you're pulling, or if you're driving a combine or cotton picker, you're listening to the machine, trying to hear any difference in noise. You know, it could be a bearing going out. Any little tiny difference in sound will draw your attention, and so you usually don't listen to the radio in a tractor when you're doing work, because you're trying to pay close attention to what you're doing. That said, while running a grain drill or running a field cultivator, those are pretty simple jobs, or even the subsoiler, I will usually put on the Barn Talk podcast. For those of y'all who aren't familiar with it, Barn Talk is a father-son farming pair out in Iowa, and so they do things differently than I do here. But it's interesting to hear their takes on things. I enjoy the podcast. Some of the things they do are similar, some of them are totally different. But it's just cool to hear what other farmers are saying and what they're doing, and their take on current events. Well, that's gonna do it for today, y'all. We got a lot of ground planted, but we got a long ways to go tomorrow. Got a lot of dirt, got to have seed put in it. I hope y'all enjoyed the video today. I hope y'all found it informative, the comparison between KBH and Unverferth. I think they both make a quality seed tender. Just a few differences in the two products, but they both do a great job. I thank all of y'all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.